I remember the taste of iron first, blood flooding my mouth, choking me as I gasped for air. My cheek pressed against the hardwood floor, my shoulder screaming from where he'd wrenched it out of place. And above me, his shadow, my brother-in-law's, loomed, panting, fists still trembling. My sister's voice cut through the ringing in my ears. Cold, detached. "You should have signed the mortgage." That sentence hurt more than his blows. Not because of the words themselves, but because they came from her, the girl who once braided my hair, swore we were each other's safe place. All because I refused to be their guarantor. I dragged myself out of that house, every step painting the pavement in crimson. My vision blurred, body broken, but I still staggered to my parents' door. I knocked, whispered, begged. Then the world went black. When I woke, the white ceiling light hummed above me. Hospital. My parents' faces hovered, pale with horror. My father's fists clenched so hard his knuckles whitened. My mother's tears soaked the sheets. The police stood at the foot of my bed. They'd already seen the bruises, the dislocation, the swelling. Their expressions said it all. They weren't just doing their jobs. They were angry. And I knew in that moment that I wasn't powerless. But to understand my fire, you need to know the betrayal. When my sister first introduced him, I wanted to like him. He was charming, polite, the kind of man who made everyone laugh. I believed she'd found her match. For years, I trusted him at my parents' table, in our home, near me. I let my guard down. The first shift was small. Their requests for money, excuses about just until the mortgage clears. The way he looked at me with a sharpness, not kindness. Then the night he stood in my doorway, voice low, warning me I'd regret saying no. And regret came, stamped into my skin by his fists. But I am not the kind of woman who breaks quietly. While my body healed, my mind sharpened. Rage turned cold, precise. I didn't scream or send threats. I listened, observed, waited. I knew their weak spots: money, pride, appearances. He thrived on control. She clung to him, blind, convinced loyalty meant silence. They thought I was finished, too bruised to fight. That was their mistake. I spoke with the police first, detailed, exact. Every bruise documented, every word he'd spit recorded. The officers promised me justice, but I wanted more than prison bars. I wanted him to feel the walls closing in, piece by piece. So I pressed charges, not just for assault, but for financial fraud I'd quietly uncovered. His forged documents, the lies spun to lenders, the manipulation buried in paperwork. While he'd laughed at my refusal to sign, he didn't realize I'd already kept copies of his dealings. Evidence, proof, ammunition. The day of court, he walked in smug, suit ironed, arm wrapped around my sister. She wouldn't even meet my eyes. I kept mine on him, steady, calm. When the prosecutors laid out the assault photos, he shifted. When the forged documents appeared, his jaw locked. And when the witness testimonies, neighbors who'd heard my screams that night, echoed through the courtroom, his mask cracked. I watched it unravel, the arrogance draining, the panic creeping in. My sister finally looked at me then, her face breaking into disbelief, as if only now she realized what he truly was. But it was too late. The climax wasn't a shout or a brawl. It was the silence after the verdict. Guilty. The word hung heavy, final. He lunged, shouting my name, but the officers pinned him before he could take another step. For the first time, he wasn't in control. And my sister? She wept. Not for me, for herself, for the life crumbling in her hands. I didn't move, didn't comfort her. She had made her choice the moment she turned her back while I lay bleeding on the floor. The police said they'd rarely seen such a clean takedown. Everything lined up: testimony, evidence, timing. They told me I was strong, but it wasn't strength, it was precision. Because strength is surviving. Precision is making sure the predator never hunts again. Now, when I touch the faint scar near my lip, I don't see weakness. I see strategy. I see the night I stopped being their victim and became their reckoning. My sister lives alone now, her mortgage unpaid, her calls go unanswered. She's learning what it feels like to be abandoned. And him? He rots behind bars, stripped of everything he thought he owned, including me. Do I regret what I did? No. I regret only that it took me so long to understand betrayal isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a whisper, sometimes a demand, sometimes the silence of someone you love choosing someone else's fists over your blood. But revenge, true revenge, isn't loud either. It's methodical, icy, surgical. It's walking into a courtroom and watching your abuser crumble under the weight of his own lies.